Hi everyone, this is the video for lecture 5 of our urban policy course. Today we are going to look at cities and risks. Today's content. Part 1 has two sections. We will be looking at what risks are there in cities. And in the second part, we will be looking at how to show sources or the information of sources in your research papers. Okay, let's look at part 1. In the first section, we're going to look at concepts. We learn that cities are full of risks. Okay, threats. There are so many threats in cities. There are urban brutalities, urban maladies, urban insanities, and urban calamities. These things occurs just because of the fact that there are so many people in cities. So there are high density in cities, and that's why we have brutalities and insanities and so on in cities. Okay, and there are various risk factors in cities, and these factors are causing such brutalities and insanities. For example, invasion from the outside of the cities make brutalities in city, and assault and murders in cities are, of course, one of the factors of brutalities, right? And tobacco, alcohols, gambles, prostitutions, all these make very typically urban maladies. And diseases, rotten food, harmful insects and animals, these things cause insanities. And there are fires, and there are collapse of buildings. These things make calamities. Calamity is a kind of disaster. So urban disasters are caused by these factors. We often say that these are the hazards of disasters. Okay, so we needed to think of how to deal with these factors. Okay, these risk factors they typically have their events. Okay, for example, 10 years ago in Eastern Japan, there was a big earthquake, right? And that was one of the events that happened in that disaster. So before such event happen, we need to make pre-event actions. Pre-event actions like this. This includes prevention, preparation, and probably evacuation training, and so on. Anyway, these are pre-event actions. These are very important things because we need to do a lot of things before if such risky, dangerous events happen. So we need to do many things such as inspection, research, survey, training, and so on. And after such events, then we need to do these things, post-event actions. Okay, once the earthquake happens, then we would like to lessen or mitigate the effect of the earthquake. Mitigation means to make less damage. Okay, and we also want to make treatment of such risk events. Treatment means modification or the medical cure of such an event. Okay, anyway, we need to make post-event actions. Okay, so these things are needed in urban settings too. So cities or the citizens in cities have to do all these things. Okay, this is for the first section. So let's look at, oh, I'm sorry. Well, let's look at quizzes. One, urban areas have a higher density of population than rural areas do. This density is one of the major causes of creating risks that are peculiar to urban life. Is it true or false? Two, prevention of risk events are conducted prior to the event. After such events occur, preparation for such risks are conducted. Is it true or false? All right, so let's go to the part now, section 2. In this section, we will be looking at the facts. We want to learn changing urban risk treatments. Okay? Let's start from the medieval and early modern Europe. Okay, this is one of the very famous picture written in Netherlands in 16th century. In this picture, there is a guy who is standing at the center of the picture, and he shows that he has some sword. He is talking to the people surrounding him, and this is in this group is the citizens of Amsterdam who were looking after cities themselves. Okay, they didn't want crimes or fires or many maladies and so on. So they watched after cities. Okay, this is one of the typical urban actions to respond to urban risks. Okay, but cities had a lot of people, and at night, darkness caused crimes. Look at this picture. This picture is showing the women who are using natural fire at night. Natural fire is a fire, but it is not that strong and it cannot be used long. So basically, cities at night time were dark. And what happens in such situations? The groups of very bad people begin to make crimes such as robberies, thieves, and so on. So this is the example of Paris in France. And in the 16th century, modern police organization was built. And what did they do? Very interestingly, this modern police was a little different from the police that we know today. For example, they police officers ordered the citizens to use artificial lights. Okay, they wanted citizens to use lights, artificial lights, all the nighttime. Why is it? It's because lights will prevent the many crime. Okay. Second, these police officers cleaned public streets. Public streets were so dirty back then, so they wanted to clean it. This was also the work by police. They checked the banned selling of coffee. Why coffee? Coffee was expensive thing, so the state government wanted to sell them. So illegal selling was checked by these police officers. And finally, they began investigating criminals. Okay, it's kind of this is the only thing that modern or that the police of today is doing, right? But in the pre-modern age, modern police organizations are doing such various things. And let's look at the example of London. Dirty environment caused so many diseases. This picture is showing that the river Thames, the Thames River in the central London, were so dirty that they created various diseases. Okay, this picture is showing that situation. So cities had to deal with such dirtiness. Okay, what did they do then? They began to set up urban health or public health boards. The picture on the right-hand side shows the picture of Chadwick, Mr. Chadwick. He is one of the most important figures in 19th century London urban policies. He insisted that public health should be protected in the way that streets, rivers, and animals are kept in sanitary conditions. Okay, by doing such things, they wanted to improve the urban risks on healthy conditions. Let's look at the American case. This is a somewhat different type of dealing with such urban risks. Just because American big cities are dirty and dangerous, so wealthy middle-class people went to outside of the cities, as we already learned last week, right? So they made suburbs. But the thing is that these suburbs were walled. They had walls. What does it mean? These middle-class rich people prevented others from coming to these suburbs. Okay, so this was the way to keep security or safety in their community. This is a very effective way, right? But it also creates discriminations and segregations. Okay, so this is one of the most problematic way of keeping safety in cities. And unfortunately, this type of security building continues these days. Inner cities are gated too. This picture shows one of the gated community, which is located at the inner city areas in New York. As you see it in this picture, the gate is closed, so visitors cannot go inside. This is locked. Okay, and only those who live in such community and who are acquaintances or friends of the residents can go into the community. Okay, this again creates the condition where segregation and discrimination are created. Okay, so this is one of the most problematic situation in today's cities in all the countries in the world. Okay, that's all about our section 2. So let's look at the quizzes. 1. In medieval Europe, and maybe pre-modern Europe too, the safety of many cities was protected or defended by night watch activities of citizens. This sentence is telling something about the picture which we saw in the first slide. Okay, so is it true or false? 2. As the cities in early modern age needed to clear brutalities and insanities, organizations as various as policies, public health boards, and so on were set up. Is it true or false? 3. Modern walled or gated communities resemble medieval cities in a sense that they separate themselves from other communities and get safety. Is it true or false? Okay, that's all for today's first part. And this is the source information. So please go to the next movie.